we have to talk about the firmware, the Switch firmware. So there's a new firmware update 10, which is a big milestone update. I did not know this was happening. Nobody knew this was happening.
No. Surprising that there've been 10 firmware updates already.
I know. That's like, so many more.
Fast.
That's so many more than the other consoles. Well,
yeah.
Well, okay, so firmware updates happen all the time. Nintendo just is less coy about making them big, calling them big updates.
Yeah.
Like normally it'll be like 1.2.9 or something, you know? But Nintendo's just like 10, here you go. How do I show my screen? Here we go. This is from The Verge. Nintendo Switch update lets you transfer game downloads to an SD card. That's not the big news, but okay, let's put that in the title.
I feel like that is fairly big. It's probably a bigger deal than the other thing that everybody made a big deal.
I didn't know that this wasn't a thing you couldn't already do. And I'm the guy.
Yeah.
You know? The Nintendo Switch's 10.0.0 firmware update, which is available now, adds the ability for you to transfer your downloaded games directly from system memory to an SD card, or vice versa, to free up storage. The update also allows you to remap buttons on your controller and illustrate your user profile from a new collection of new Animal Crossing New Horizons icons. That's a weird way to put it. They just added more icons for Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they say illustrate your user profile. Transferring data directly between the console's internal and external memory is a feature people have been asking for a while. Previously, if you filled up your internal storage and you wanted to offload games and updates to an SD card, then your only option was to re-download them. I didn't know that.
Yes, when I tried to transfer SD cards, that was a problem I had.
I think you could transfer saves, though. Or you could have transferred saves.
No, saves are hard-coded to the system itself.
Oh, you're right.
And even with
correct.
this update, you cannot transfer them to the SD card.
You are correct, Will. I should never doubt you.
Thank you. Hashtag Will was right.
Where am I? This new feature should make it much quicker and more convenient. According to the patch notes, quote, downloadable software, update data, and DLC are supported, but save data and some update data can't be transferred to an SD card. When I heard this, my first thought was, because the way it was worded to me when I first saw it, it sounded like it was gonna allow, like it was put there to allow some sort of Animal Crossing situation.
Right.
Because right now you can't transfer Animal Crossing saves at all, no matter what. They're on your Switch, they're per Switch. And I know Nintendo's trying to work on something where you can transfer that, but it's still not available. So you can only have one Animal Crossing island per Switch still, even with this update. So this doesn't touch saves at all. Not even on normal games.
No. And I think what they mean by some update data, I basically, like, firmware update goes to the system memory itself. That stuff, like, you can't transfer to the SD card, rather.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't want to do that anyway.
No, but I know, like, Nintendo likes to over-clarify everything.
True. And here's a picture of the button remapping. The new button remapping feature is accessed from the controllers and sensors section of the console's system settings. It works with the Joy-Cons, Pro Controller, and the Switch Lite's built-in controls. That's an interesting distinction. And it lets you swap around your buttons and analog sticks. Once you've set up a new configuration, you can save it as one of up to 5 presets. That's pretty cool. I did notice I played with it before, and I disconnected and reconnected my Pro Controller, and it saved the setting.
That's cool.
Helpful if you want different button layouts for different games.
Yeah.
Switch software version 10.0.0 is available now. You can update your system manually from the system section of the settings menu, but I found my console updated automatically when I booted it up this morning.
I just did it before we went live, and I had to confirm the update, and it did the whole reset, and now I have it.
Yeah, it did it while I was using it the other day. I think while I was making my last video, it kept annoying me to update, but I didn't want to update because I didn't want to lose where I was in Animal Crossing. I was on a spider island.
Nice.
So here it is from the Nintendo page. Let's read what Nintendo has to say. Added a bookmark feature to News. You know that News app you use all the time?
The news app sucks.
Yeah.
Like, straight up, it just sucks.
Mine is all Japanese because I have one Japanese account on my Switch. Or at least I did. But my last Switch, I had 4 accounts on there.
Like, I'll go to it, and then, like, you know, you go to a game, like, that it's referencing, like, it goes to the eShop page, but then, like, it'll immediately just back out to the home screen, or it won't let you do anything else.
I mean, if I'm checking my news, it's not on the Switch.
Yeah.
But it comes up on the lock screen, and my lock screen is usually in Japanese.
Yeah.
Because of that, for whatever reason. This feature allows you to bookmark your favorite news items. A maximum of 300 news items can be bookmarked. An internet connection is required to view bookmarked news items. News items that are no longer available cannot be viewed. Okay. Nobody cares. I don't know why that's the first thing you mentioned about this firmware update. Added an option to transfer software data between the system memory and the SD card. We talked about that. Users can now transfer downloadable software, blah, 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 blah. Note that the save data and some update data cannot be transferred. Okay. Oh, update data meaning like, that could also mean some game updates.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. But I think, like, why would...
I would say Animal Crossing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe, like, I don't know how the Pokemon save data works, but I mean, the Pokemon update data, but Animal Crossing, I would imagine that might be dumped onto the Switch itself.
Yeah.
Added an option to remap the control buttons. Analog stick and button configurations can be changed for each paired controller. Custom configurations can be saved. Yeah. Added a new section in user settings for play activity settings. The options for, quote, display play activity to and delete play activity have been moved from friend settings to the new play activity section. Okay, whatever. Added new sections to the lineup of added new selections to the lineup of user profile icons. And then, of course, there's the general stability improvements to enhance the user's experience.
Of course.
This is what it looks like. You go to controllers and sensors. Change button mapping. So what's a good implication for this that you think? There's a lot of options.
Trying to think.
So
the one that comes to mind is Smash Brothers, but that you can do in game.
They don't have a lot of options in Smash Brothers, and we'll talk about that. The one that comes to mind for me is certain Mario games. You can make the A and B button, you can flip them around and put them wherever you want, which is useful for the Switch Online games.
If you want to use the 8-bit do M30 with any like classic Genesis games, this would be a good option for it.
Unfortunately, it wouldn't work because this only works for official Nintendo controllers. It only works for the Joy-Con, the Pro Controller, or the Switch Lite.
Oh, cheeky bastards.
Cheeky bastards. So, Smash Brothers is what I was thinking of. I saw somebody put on Twitter an idea. So I use default.
There was an idea.
I use default controls for Smash Brothers, and a lot of people make fun of me.
Okay.
Especially for Captain Falcon, a lot of people use tilt stick. So, Will, do you know what the right stick does in Smash Brothers by default?
Isn't it Smash Attack?
It's Smash Attack.
Yeah.
So it's like hitting a direction and then A.
Yeah. It was like that on Melee.
Correct. Yes, It's the exact same thing.
Yeah,
and in Melee, I don't think you could change it. I think it was just stuck like that. So a lot of people who play Melee and moved on to Smash Ultimate still leave it at default. I know I'm not supposed to read tweets right now, but I got a tweet from Triton, that one guy who says you can change the controls on the SN30 Pro like it's a Pro controller. Here, button mapping. Change. Will it actually work though in the game though? That's my question. Because this is a pro controller now. This is changing the button mapping of a pro controller. Let's make the freaking right stick click the B button. Done. Okay. Oh, it says modified in the bottom right corner. You can't see it because my big dumb face is over it. Where is my big dumb face? Here, you can see it now. It's in the bottom left corner. It says it's been modified.
Oh, look at that.
Yep. It did it. My right stick is B stick. It did it.
There you go.
There you go. Thank you, Triton. It's very unlike Nintendo to have settings like this to allow you to be able to change this much.
This is like pro level stuff, like remapping buttons.
This is something I'd imagine on a PlayStation. Never.
I know for a fact PlayStation 4 has it. This was back. They did a big firmware update a couple years ago. I think in like 2015, like remapping buttons.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a big feature for them. And I'm pretty sure Xbox has it because they're all big in like, you know, accessibility, play however you want style. So I'm pretty sure they have something similar to that. And I know they have like controller profiles you could save to the controller itself.
One disappointing thing is that you can't map the left stick to the D-pad.
Really?
Yes. But you can map whatever other button you want to the D-pad. So if you want to make A, for some reason, one of the D-pad buttons, you could do that.
Because that would have been, because I know a lot of people had a problem with Link's Awakening.
Yep.
Because you couldn't use the D-pad, you had to use the analog stick.
I want a controller that'll let me play Smash with the left side being a D-pad. I think that'd be really cool. What else here? It is really cool that you can change the left stick to the right stick. Yeah. And of course you could do this with the Joy-Con too. One implication I saw was people were excited that you can now play Pokemon Let's Go in like a grip mode if you wanted. But that doesn't sound right. Like by changing the stick, you can now... I don't know. What is that? What would that do? Changing the stick in Pokemon Let's Go.
I don't... Because in Pokemon Let's Go, it knows like when you're docked. And when you're docked, you can only play with either a Joy-Con or...
Oh, you can only play with the left thumbstick.
Yeah, so unless you add like...
Well, now you can use the right thumbstick if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But why would you want to do that? I wish it worked for third-party controllers.
Yeah.
I understand why it doesn't, because that'd be like development hell.
I wish they will let you map the left analog stick to the D-pad. I think they probably did that because, you know, the analog stick has much more, you know, finer movements than the D-pad, but come on, man.
Yeah, it could make users think that you could do things that you can't really.
Yeah.
Like, it's not optimal, like, for some games. Like, some games you want to be able to walk instead of run. You know, you want to be able to push the thumbstick just a little bit. And if you have a D-pad, you're full sprint, you know, if you mash that right side. So I understand. But it's still, I want the options.
Yeah.
I want the options to be able to play it in a garbage way if that's how I want to play it. I'm thinking about when I plug in like an N64 controller, that button mapping is all messed up. There's like no good way. Ooh, all right. Here. You want to get into some? Want to put your tinfoil hat on real quick, Will?
Okay.
What if we're getting N64 games and they did this because the button mapping would be all messed up for N64 games, so you can now remap your own whatever.
That would make the most sense.
You heard it here first, guys.
That would make a lot
classic
of sense.
games coming this September.
But wait, because a lot of times when they put N64 games on like the Wii or the Wii U through Virtual Console, they map the C buttons to the right analog stick.
Right.
But if you wanted to, so if the C buttons are now the right analog stick, but you wanted to map those to the face buttons, you can't.
No, I'm going to look, Will.
Because, you know, it's if you can't map the left analog sticks to the D-pad and vice versa, I imagine you can't map the right analog sticks to any of the face buttons.
Correct.
Yeah.
Wait. Wait, you can map the D-pad buttons to the face buttons.
Yeah.
You can't map you can't map the stick directions to any buttons.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Right. But you can map the D-pad buttons to the face buttons.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. So yeah, no, if we're talking about C-stick or C
buttons, which are usually mapped to the right analog stick.
Yeah, we're gonna have a problem.
Unless that's a future update.
Yeah, that's I mean, the N64 controller is such a weird looking freaking controller, especially by modern standards. So it's got two big buttons. You got an A and B button, and then you got four other buttons over there. You got
the camera buttons, the C buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that acts as kind of like a right stick, but it's not. In a lot of games, like in Mega Man Legends, those are buttons. Like one's a kick.
Yeah. In Tony Hawk, that's what you use to do tricks.
Star Fox, like, change the camera. Yeah. It does like a loop-de-bob,
In a lot of first-person shooters, that was movement.
Yes.
That was forward, back, and strafe, and you look with the analog stick.
Well, okay, so GoldenEye, we look back at, and we're like, that was the pinnacle of controls of the era. But now when you look at the control scheme, it's like just a little weird, and it's weird enough where it'll break your brain if you try to play it. But it does have modern style control schemes. It's just you have to use two controllers.
Well, with GoldenEye, because the thing is, like, Rainbow Six used C buttons for movement and look with the analog stick.
Right.
Every single game you've ever played, you move with your left hand and you do your actions with your right. But Rainbow Six and other FPSs on N64 like Turok and whatnot, they flipped it. You move with your right and you do actions with your left.
That was a big thing at the time. So the one control scheme that I'm thinking of for GoldenEye that worked like a modern control scheme, you have to plug in two N64 controllers.
Mm-hmm.
And the left player one will control looking, and the right one will control movement, just like what you say with Rainbow Six.
Yes, I think there is another one though that flips it.
No, you have to you have to take the controllers and flip them in your hands, and then it works.
That's even worse.
Yeah, so you have to have the player two in your left hand and the player one on the right. But it works like modern controls if you do it that way.
Yeah.
But the default GoldenEye controls, one of the axis is flipped on both sticks. I forgot what it is, but like, you know how on a modern control you go forward, back, and then you strafe? Yeah, on the left stick. Yeah, it's forward, back, and rotate.
Yeah.
On the left stick, yeah. So
yeah.
That's something that
I mean,
they
if
would
you
need
only
to
had
remap.
one stick, that probably was the best course of action.
Yeah, but like us, when we would play like multiplayer and stuff, we would use the C stick.
Because
to strafe and whatnot, and a lot of times when you unlock that part of your brain in order to use the C stick, like you can look around the room and see who's using the C buttons on GoldenEye, and you can tell who's gonna get absolutely stomped out in GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Because strafing was faster.
Yeah.
So we maybe N64 games, but maybe not. I mean, it also could be for GameCube, but then we should be able to plug in our GameCube controllers and remap that.
That's because like if they're coming out with, was it Sunshine? I'd imagine they'd let you use a game controller on that.
But then maybe they assume that it's already perfect.
Maybe.
I don't know. Or maybe they just wanted to give us the option of remap buttons.